Let's talk about breakpoints. What you're looking at in Xcode is an example of a weather application. I'm going to go ahead and run it and show you what it does. If I type in a location like San Francisco and hit get weather, I should get the weather for San Francisco. However, if I type in a location like Boston, I don't currently have a temperature for Boston, so I'm expecting an error here. If I hit get weather though, I'm seeing that it's still saying weather for San Francisco, and I'm not sure why. If we look at how the weather is loaded, a lot of people will start debugging by putting in a bunch of print statements like this. That's okay in some scenarios, but something even remotely complex, you're going to want to get in the habit of using breakpoints. For this bug, I'm going to set a breakpoint here and here. And the reason for that is I'm expecting the code to get into this catch statement here because I know that I don't have a temperature for Boston. I'm also setting it here because I think it's going to start out up here and I don't know exactly how far it's going to go. So another thing you can do with breakpoints is step through the code line by line, which is really beneficial, something you can't do with print statements. Let's run this and see how this works. So like I said, I don't have to rerun the app. I can just hit get weather again and see my breakpoints trip. Another cool thing about breakpoints is that you can hover over some properties and see what's stored in them. For example, if I hover over file name, I can see that the file name is correct. It is Boston. And if I wanted to know a little bit more about what's stored in there, for example, if this were an object instead of just a string, you could hit this eye icon and it'll print it to the console. So here it's just printing out Boston, nothing interesting, but useful for something a little bit more complex. I'm going to step over this line of code and just go through the execution line by line. And how you do that is with this step over button here. So I got to data, I should see the data printing. Cool, I got some data there. I'm gonna hit step over one more time, and now we see that the other breakpoint has tripped. It's going into the catch statement. So it is setting the error message. I'm actually gonna move this breakpoint and let it run. And the way that I can let it run until it hits the next breakpoint is with this button. And it stopped the execution right here. So I do see that the error message is being set. It's being set to something, but why isn't it showing? Well, let's investigate further. A couple more places I want to set breakpoints. I want to see if it gets into this line of code, and I want to see if it gets into this line of code. This line of code will actually set the error, and this line of code is just setting the weather again. So it's definitely going to hit one of these, but let's see which. Unexpectedly, it's trying to set the weather again when I am expecting it to show the error. Let's see what's stored in weather. I can hit this caret here, and the city is San Francisco. So the weather that's stored is stale or invalid. And if I go back to where we're setting the error message, we can see that the weather data is never being nilled out. So it still has the weather data from the previous city. So the way to fix this is to nil out the weather data if there was an error. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it solves our issue. I'm going to type in San Francisco, get weather, and I do see the weather. And now if I type in Boston, I'm expecting to see an error message. And we do. Great, we fixed that bug. I hope you learned something today, and I will see you next time.